timing between pink and petal fall is typically the most critical timing for primary apple scab control. And there are many reasons for this. The first is that this timing is traditionally the time when we see the maximum spore release from overinfected leaves on the ground. So these leaves, the scab fungus starts to develop in these leaves and will initially begin releasing spores as early as green tip. This timing, as we get to this timing between pink and petal fall, that's when we are traditionally going to see the maximum amount of spore release. Secondly, temperatures at this timing typically start to warm up, and that can result in shorter wetting periods required for apple scab infection periods. So the apple scab infection period, the requirement of wetting, the hours become shorter as the temperatures warm, and they go to a minimum of 9 hours between temperatures of 61 and 75 degrees. Consult the Mills table that shows wetting periods required for apple scab infection at various temperatures, and that's available in the 2013 Michigan Fruit Management Guide. So thirdly, this is a period of rapid growth of the tree, and this can result in the prevalence of a lot of unprotected tissue between spray intervals. So if you can look here, we see a lot of leaves, we see flowers developing here. These leaves are going to expand rapidly as the time progresses here between your spray intervals, and that's going to leave you with unprotected tissue that hasn't received spray in that interval. And so if we have a rain, if we have an infection period between your spray intervals and after timing that's allowed enough growth of the tree, then there's going to be a high likelihood that scab spores are going to find tissue that's not protected by fungicide. You're going to get some infection. And then the last important component between pink and petal fall is that this is the timing where we can sustain fruit infection, where we can start seeing primary scab infection of fruit, which is critical. Obviously, we don't want infection of fruit at all. That can take fruit out of the fresh market. And then the second thing is lesions on fruit can develop cracks, they can expand, and they can be sites where we can get further infection by fruit rotting fungi. In Michigan, we have 3 fungicide choices that will work best for scab control during the pink to petal fall time period. One would be a mix of the broad spectrum protectant fungicides, Captan and EBDCs, the combination that we call Captazeb. The second class would be the new SDHI compounds, and then the third would be the second generation SIs that are present in Inspire Super or Indar. So the Captazeb combination consists of 3 pounds of EBDC plus 2 to 2.5 pounds of Captan 80 WDG. Now this combination takes advantage of the excellent activity of both of these fungicides in scab control, their broad spectrum nature. It enables a 3-pound use rate of the EBDC fungicides where you can use up to 7 applications at that 3-pound rate, because again, you're mixing that half rate of EBDC with a half rate of Captan. And it enables the grower to take advantage of the excellent retention properties that the EBDCs have, along with the excellent redistribution properties that Captan has. Now remember, if you apply this Captazeb combo, you're limited to a 5 to 6 day maximum spray interval between applications. And a downside to this program is that it doesn't control powdery mildew. So if you've had powdery mildew issues in your orchard, you can't rely on this Captazeb compound for your scab control. Now, regarding the SDHIs and the second generation SIs, please see my other videos that are specifically targeted on these fungicides. The main points to remember about the SDHIs is that 2 of them, Maravon and Luna Tranquility, are premixes, and the other component in the mix is suboptimal for scab at this pink to petal fall timing. And that's either due to resistance issues to the strobilurins, which is the mixing partner in Maravon, or because the timing is not as good, and that affects the Scala mixing partner in Luna Tranquility. This then puts more intense pressure on the SDHI component for scab control, so make sure you're using the highest label rate. These SDHIs are quite effective in scab control, but they're best effective if we use the highest rates of them possible, and that's also important for resistance management. So from pink to petal fall, be wary of increased scab inoculum coming up from leaves from the ground, and be especially wary if your trees have already sustained infection early in the season. Spray intervals should be tightened during this time period, particularly if we've had frequent rains, as this is a rapid growth period for the tree, and we don't want unprotected tissues available for fungal spores. Finally, because of warming temperatures, the length of the wetting period necessary for scab infection will be shorter and could be as short as 9 hours.